So you're probably searching for a video and you're curious about the Python True Dual Headpipes for Harley Davidson motorcycles. You've definitely come to the right place. A quick shout out to RevZilla for providing these headpipes for us. If you want to get hooked up, you appreciate the free videos we put out. Affiliate links in the description below to the products. And by clicking through and making a purchase, no additional cost to you, but it does help us get a small kickback. Welcome back, Bikeaholics. Ryan Erlacher here, lawabidingbiker.com. Thanks for checking back in. Yes, completely free video. We're going to show you how to install these Python True Dual headpipes. One of the things, a couple things I want to mention. Number one, you get a new Harley Davidson, they come with catalytic converters. Those create a lot of heat, and by getting these Python True Duals, you're getting pipes without catalytic converters, thus you're going to have less heat on your motorcycle. Also, we found from our experience, and it was true in this case, by getting rid of catalytic converters and getting a head pipe without those, you'll definitely get better, more richer sound. And I want to mention we installed these on Big Daddy Kane. We installed them on his 2016 Road Glide Special, but this video will work regardless, pretty much the same for whichever touring model you have. Make sure to check with your local, state, and federal laws on, manipulating exhaust on your motorcycle and the removal of catalytic converters. With that said, what do you say we get wrenching, get our hands dirty? All right, and first we're gonna have to get at these stock head pipes off, so they're just removing the saddlebags, of course. Just the quarter turn pins in there. That releases them. We'll get them both out of our way. All right, and we're taking off these mufflers. These are the Vance & Hines 400 eliminators. We had already put them on the bike, but we got to get them out of the way to get these new head pipes on. These new Python head pipes, True Duals. Those are just 1/2 inch. There's a stock clamp. Pretty much all work the same back here. There's the plate that goes through the rubber grommet, and then the 2 1/2 inch bolts. And of course, we'll do that on both sides. All right, and with a 9/16 wrench, he's taking the clamp off where the muffler clamps onto the head pipes. And if you guys are interested in any Vance & Hines products, please hook us up. Get them from our store. Big Daddy Kane is ready right there. He's the one wrenching. He runs the store, and he will get you hooked up with any Vance & Hines product you want, and it helps support us. lawabidingbiker.com/store, link in the description below. And coming around this side of the bike, we got Lurch over here. He's wrenching with the 1/2 inch. Again, just releasing that stock clamp. All right, and with the clamp loose, of course, the muffler clamp up at the head pipe and the rear support done, you just got to wiggle back and forth, and you can twist them. And one of the tricks is you can spray some WD-40 up in there where they connect. That can help free things up sometimes. You can see they're just working on it, rocking and twisting, and it will eventually back off like so. We'll get the other one on the other side. All right, and with a 9/16 inch wrench, he's going to start wrenching on this. This is the stock crossover support bracket that comes standard on Harleys. It's threaded right into the bike there. And once that's out of the way, of course, the clamp drops, and then you can remove that whole system from around the crossover. All right, and he has a 5/8 socket. He's pointing at it there. That's the clamp, and they're all the same here stock, where it clamps from the header system to the crossover there. And he'll back that out all the way. All right, and with that loose, now Lurch is on the other side. You can pull and manipulate it and pull that crossover out. All right, and with a 5/16 hex head, he's going to start removing the floorboard on the right side of the bike. We need it out of our way, number one, to manipulate the head pipes, get them out of our way. You'll just have some extra space. Additionally, with this kit, these Python True Duals, there's a spacer which we'll show you, and it actually, when we put it back together, put a spacer in there, and that bumps the floorboards out a little bit to give extra room for the new head pipes. And Lurch is on the back side of the support there with a 9/16 wrench. That's the front of that floorboard support, and now he's moving with that hex head to the rear floorboard support. And he's finishing up backing out the rear floorboard support there, and that'll release this whole thing for us, get it out of our way. All right, and with an extension and a 1/2 inch socket, we're not going to reuse the heat shields on these. This whole system's gone. And so up in there, your front head's the same as your rear, is a flange, and there's 2 1/2 inch nuts. And there's studs that come out of there. And he's going to back those all the way off. All right, and he's got his first nut off there. He's just moving to the bottom, just with that extension. And you'll see that'll release that flange. All right, and he's got his 1/2-inch wrench up at the front head here, and he's going to back this one off. Now this one you can do with a socket. The one on the bottom of this flange, it's hard to get in there with the extension, so you actually have to do it with a box end wrench. All right, and you can see Lurch, he's just reaching underneath. And again, this bottom one on this flange is a little more difficult. You can't get an extension up in there, so he's just using a box end wrench, and now he's got it with his fingers. All right, and so on these pipes, guys, you'll see he's going to point to them is your two O2 sensors down in there. These are 12mm bung stock O2 sensors. They both kind of come out the same way. Well, those wires lead up. We want to unplug them, and they're right under the side panel that he's going to pop. And then we'll have access here to your gray and black plug. One is front, one is rear. We'll get into that in a minute. Right now, he's just going to work on unplugging them. And there's just a little push button underneath where he's pushing up, and he'll pull and release both of them. And then there's some stock zip ties that tie it to the rail there. We're going to clip those because we need to route these wires out. All right, and he's just clipping those zip ties out of the way. And just remember how these were routed through. He's going to, because we'll end up putting them back, we're going to use these stock O2 sensors with these new Python True Duals that we're going to put on. He just routed them out, and now they're free. All right, so this is the main support right near the catalytic converter. This is stock. That's a 9/16 socket underneath that he's using. And the way this works is, you can see Lurch, he's got his finger up in there. It's kind of a flat top bolt. It's machined out so it won't turn, but you have to put pressure down on it. And that's what Lurch is doing with his finger, keeping pressure down so it stays in that little machine cutout so it doesn't spin on Big Daddy, who is underneath here with that 9/16, backing it off. And this is a long bolt, and it comes off rough the whole way. All right, and with everything released, you can just manipulate it, a little finesse, and we'll get this header system, stock header system, out of the way. And there we go. Now we can get our Python True Duals put on. All right, these are your black and gray O2 sensors, stock, and of course 12mm bungs. You can see it's labeled. You want to make sure, and the B is for black and the G, as you can see, is for gray. And so when you take those off, obviously up in there they only plug in one way because they're color coded, but make sure when you're taking these off that you know which one goes to front. You can see the B right there goes to that short rear head, and of course the G, the gray, goes to that long front head. So we want to make sure we put that back on the Pythons in the correct order. And with a 14mm wrench is what this is. Yes, metric on a Harley, but it is an exhaust system. These shouldn't be too tight. He's going to back both these O2 sensors out, and we will reuse them. Also, additionally, yes, you are going to have to retune your motorcycle immediately after changing head pipes or mufflers. We strongly suggest the Vance & Hines Fuel Pack 3 electronic fuel injection tuner. We like it so much we sell it right in our store, lawabidingbiker.com/store. We'll hook you up, Big Daddy Kane down there. It's awesome. Also, in the link in the description below, we have a complete tutorial video on the Fuel Pack 3 and how to get up and running and how to map your bike. And this particular bike is equipped with a Fuel Pack 3, so we'll have to remap that when we're done. These are the two circlips. We're going to reuse these. Most of your kits don't come with new ones. With a pair of pliers, there's just a lip. You can see what he's doing. He's just getting it up over that lip. And that easy, it releases it. He'll do it to the other pipe again. We're going to reuse those flanges too you just saw he took off. So we're going to reuse the circlips and the flanges for the new pipes. And he's just getting that rear one off. All right, and this is the stock bracket with a 1/4-inch hex head Allen. We're going to get rid of this stock bracket because with these Pythons comes a new bracket. And just 2 bolts to back out there. All right, and you're just finishing backing that out and bracket out of our way. And with a 3/16 Allen hex head, we're taking off this stock bracket that was underneath there for the crossover, because in this kit we have a new bracket that we're going to replace it with. So that's all he's doing. You can see he's got the one backed out there, and he's just moving over to the other one and getting that backed out. All right, and this is the new plate and bracket that comes with it. You reuse the bolts that we took out of there. So that's what he's doing. He's gonna, it really only goes one way up in there. Mounting it flush up in there, and I'll get them both finger started. All right, and as you can see, he's got them both finger started. He's going up there with this 1/4-inch hex head. And I'll start tightening these down. We're actually not going to tighten it all the way down. We're just kind of going to get it started and kind of a little bit snug up there because we want to have some play at the end when we're actually attaching the pipes and stuff to that bracket. That'll give us a little bit of flexibility. So at the very end, we'll tighten them all the way down. So this is the plate that comes with the pythons, and you can see, you could do this later, but we're doing it now. There's 4 bolts that come with the kit. We're just putting them in because he's going to turn it up. And then they'll kind of be in place for us, so we don't have to try to get our fingers in back there. And then he's using the stock hardware. These are the stock bolts that came out of the stock plate. And there's 2 of them. And now that he's got them finger started, a 1/4 inch hex head is what he's using there to tighten these down. All right, and he's just finishing tightening down there. All right, and moving back up, remember we took these floorboards off to give us access. There's 1 additional bolt, 5/16 Allen, and because we've got to take that off, we've got to put a new spacer before we put the floorboards back on. And we actually won't put the floorboards on to the very end, but we're at least, while we have access here, going to get that spacer in there. And basically that will bump the floorboards out a little bit when we put it back on, so it gives some extra space for the new pythons. All right, and this is the plate that comes with the kit, the spacer plate, so he's going to put that up in there. And he's using that stock bolt, the same one he took out, to go right back in. And again, the other bolt that goes into this will be when we actually mount the floorboards a little bit later. And he's just going to leave that like that for now, and we can button it up later. All right, so we've got the new Python front head pipe here, and we're going to reuse these flanges. You can see how it's recessed on one side. That recess goes towards the motor, and so he's going to put that on. You can see how he's putting that on. And then he's got his circlip, and it looks like he's just using some pliers to get it back over there. All right, and he's got his gray. We're reusing the O2 sensors, and that's his gray plug, and he's going to put it back in here and thread it in. This is the front head pipe. Gray went to front, and he's just getting that threaded in there. And with a 14mm wrench, he's going to just snug this down. So one thing I want to talk about quickly is gaskets, exhaust gaskets, head gaskets. You know, school of thought on this is these are the stock ones. They're kind of a wire mesh crush gasket. And we've done multiple exhaust jobs, and I've reused them multiple times. And as long as they look good, you can usually get away with reusing them. Everything heats up and expands, and everything seals pretty good in there anyways. But if you want to, or you're one of those people that has to change every time just for conscience, make sure you have those on hand. Some exhaust systems will come with new ones. This system did not, and ours are looking just fine, so we're actually going to just reuse those gaskets. So standard, guys, these are standard heat shields that come with all pipes, but it's just a hose clamp system. And what Lurch is doing now is he's actually marking on the outside of the pipe where each of the hose clamp brackets go through right there, so that we can tell from the outside of the pipe later. So now he's setting the pipe into the heat shield. This is for the front header. And now, because of those marks, Lurch can actually see, and he can feed that through. And again, the reason he knows where that is because of the mark he put out. And we're putting them all the same way, the head of the hose clamp down, so to speak. You can see the way we put that. And Rick's working on one up there, same way. Makes it really easy. And Lurch is just finishing up here, and we're just getting these started. We're not tightening them down. We won't actually tighten them all down until we get it on the bike, make sure everything looks good and is lined up. Gives us a little room to play with. Okay, so now we're ready to move the front header into place, and you can see this comes with your kit. All right, that's a threaded piece, and it goes right in that channel there. He's going to have to, when we put this up, of course, we're going to line up the front, the flange. We're going to line it up all at one. We've got multiple hands up there on the front head. At the same time, Big Daddy's going to be back here. He's going to be lining that up right in our bracket. We just put a little hair tie around there to keep our bolts for now. But he's actually going to line it up in these 2 bottom ones. And so you could do this by yourself. It'd kind of be a pain. Definitely helps to have an extra set of hands. All right, and they're getting it set into place there. And you can see Lurch up here working. He's working on getting that flange over the 2 studs there. We've got Brian's hand right over there. He's got a 1/2 inch nut. We're reusing all the hardware. And he's going to get that started. And Lurch is going to try to start that top one. And they're getting the flange into place. At the same time, Rick back there is working on his piece and getting those bolts started. Real quick, guys, if you appreciate all these free videos and what we're trying to do to help the law-abiding biker community, there is a way you could support us. You can become a patron member, lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon. There'll be a link in the description below. You can pledge a certain amount per piece of content that we put out. No risk, because you can put a monthly cap. There are benefits of becoming a member. There's a private Facebook group that's blowing up. There's also access to premium videos and t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, all the information is over. Hit the link, check it out. All right, let's get back into your video. And Brian's getting that one started right there. And Lurch has the top. You can see he already started the 1/2 inch at the top of that flange. And then we're coming back here. And Rick looks like he's getting these started, no problem. And none of this will be tightened down yet, guys. We're just getting things into place. We'll tighten everything down at the very end. It gives us more room to play with stuff. You can see Rick and Matt working together, kind of getting that plate in there and getting those bolts started. All right, and again, this is the rear head pipe, and the recessed part of the flange goes towards the motor. Make sure you get that on right. Then his circlip, and a lot of times you can, if you manipulate these right, do it with just your hands. And you can see without any tools, he was able to get it over there. And then, of course, we've got our bung, our O2 sensor we've got to put in, and then we've got to put all our hose clamps. We're marking it off with a marker. It's already been done, and then we can put our hose clamps in where they go. And with the marker, of course, Lurch is just working in the hose clamps. We're going to put them all the same way. Think about the way you're putting them so that it's advantageous when they're on the bike. And with the nut driver, he's getting them all started again. We're not tightening them down yet till they're on the bike, but just feeding all the hose clamps. And of course, black, the O2 sensor, black plug to the rear head pipe, threading in his O2 sensor right there, and finishing it off with a 14mm wrench. All right, and they're just 2 hands here, actually an additional set of hands. They're just manipulating the rear head pipe, getting it into place. Of course, Lurch working up there, getting the flange over the studs, and he'll get some nuts started on here. And it's helpful to have the extension with the 1/2 inch socket. Instead of trying to get your fingers up there, just make sure you're not cross threading them. You can see he's got the one started. He's got to push that flange in a little bit, buy himself some room. There you go. And now he can get that 1/2 inch nut on there. And again, we're not tightening it down yet. All right, so this is the threaded plate right there. Of course, comes in the kit, just like the bottom header. He's got to slide it in that channel down in there. All right, and working together there, that's that channel down in there. You can see Lurch has both bolts top there to the bracket. They're just working on it started. So your kit comes with this crossover bracket support. Sometimes it's not wide enough, so we just put it in a vise. We're making it a little bit wider so we can fit it into place. That's what Lurch is doing. And the reason is because we have to kind of fit it up over this lip. So working together there, they got it over that lip, and that's why we had to spread it just a little bit. All right, and so your kit comes with a new clamp, and this is why we leave everything loose. You can see how he's kind of bending the heat shield out of the way. That's why you don't want to tighten anything down till the end, and that gets that in place. Lurch is coming in from the other side with that crossover that goes underneath. That'll bring the other pipe out the left side of the bike. And that's that support bracket that we just put over and got it over the lip so that we can attach it. All right, and with a 5/8 socket, he's just going to start tightening this clamp down. Get it good and snug, guys, but you don't need to over tighten it. These will heat up and expand, and you won't have any problems with leaks. But you don't want to strip it out. All right, and Lurch is working up underneath there. Again, this is all the new bracket and new clamp we put in. It's got a bolt that goes down through, and it comes with a washer, flat washer. It's putting up, then a lock washer, and then the nut. All right, and working together, 9/16 on the bottom, 9/16 wrench on top. Lurch is holding the top there for him, at the box end. And we're just getting this good and started. Again, we won't tighten it down till the very end. Comes with your kit. This is the heat shield. He's already got his hose clamps fed through there, you can see. And he'll just slide it onto that crossover pipe that we just mounted. And get it into position there. All right, and with his nut driver there, he's just getting the heat shields. He's getting the hose clamps started and all that. All right, and so he's just routing his oxygen sensor wires. It comes out in a little bit different place. You can see he's just routed it up over the case there, so to speak, and he can zip tie it and wire management. He's bringing it right up out of the box, black into black. He's plugging it back in Wire management really is up to you, but that's what we're working on, and then he'll run the other oxygen sensor wire. All right, now he's just running his front pipe, head pipe oxygen sensor. Again, it's kind of up to you. You're just running it up and through and back into underneath the panel there, the box, and plugging it in gray to gray. So we're working on putting the floorboard back on. This kit comes with a longer bolt. The reason it's longer is because we're spacing it. If you remember, we already put a spacer right up there, and then there's another thick spacer that's going to go for the front support, and so that's why the bolt's longer. So make sure you get your spacers in there. He's getting that longer bolt through the front support, and he's got a spacer. Looks just like a thick washer on over. And again, we've already got the spacer on the other support. And I'll put this back into place there and at least get it finger started here. And don't forget on this one, he's got the nut that goes on the back. Just getting that started. The other one bolts right into the frame of the bike. There's no nut on the back. And now that he's got it lined up, even though this is spaced, on this one we're using the stock bolt, same bolt that we took out. All right, and we got a wrench on the back side there, the front support, of course. Just snug these down tight, maybe another quarter turn. Rick's working on the front side there. And this is for the front support of the floorboard. All right, so now we're at a point where we can tighten the flanges down on these head pipes. Again, we reused our gaskets. The main thing when you're doing these guys is even pressure. And what I mean by that is don't just tighten one side of the flange down. You see Rick's side there. On the other side, Brian is working with a box end wrench. That one's kind of a bugger to get to. You can see him up in there working on it. And they're tightening it even. So he turns it a few times, and then Rick goes back and works on his side, and that way you get nice, even pressure. The main thing on these is just get them tight so they're just a little bit snug. These are studs, and they can strip out very easily, and you'll snap studs and all kinds of craziness, which will cause you problems. And you'll have no problem with these sealing up. They heat up, they expand. And worst case scenarios, if you left them a little loose, you would just hear an exhaust leak, and then you could just simply tighten them down a little bit. So the theme is be careful about how much you tighten them, and make sure you do it evenly. All right, and the main thing, guys, here, you just come back in about 1,000 miles, and things are gonna move a little bit, and you can come back and just tighten them down a turn or two. All right, so we're doing the same thing, working that flange in on the rear head here. And you can see he does 2 turns on one, and then he moves to the other one and does 2 turns. And nice even pressure as we seat that flange down and that pipe into the gasket. And again, not over tight. All right, and 1/2-inch wrench. Don't forget that main support bracket. We finger started all these, but remember there's 4 of them down in there. And so we're gonna go ahead, and that's what Lurch is working on. He's gonna snug all of those down. You gotta come in from the top and come in from the bottom to get all 4 of them. All right, and back up with the 400 Eliminator, Vance & Hines. And you just gotta work these in and rock them and twist them a little bit. You can put a little WD-40 in there if it's rough. You can see he's just working it in there. And you can see the welds right up to about where the heat shield is, and that's why we didn't tighten the heat shield yet. We can kind of match everything up, make it look real nice. And if you need a little extra, you can tap the back with the rubber mallet. Don't forget, you've got your bracket to contend with. And there, and you have a little play here with your bracket. You know, you can slide that back and forth and get it lined up. It gives you a little leadway there. All right, and just the hardware that we took out is just the 1/2-inch bolts there. Back into this rear support bracket. And just snugging both of those down with this 1/2-inch socket. All right, and now we've got the bracket, of course, on there. The clamp, I should say, 9/16. And again, just nice and snug. This will seal up just fine. And you can see right there about how much Lurch is giving it, and that is plenty right there. All right, and remember we left the heat shields loose till the very end. And since we got this side on off the right side, Lurch is just going around with his nut driver and finding all the hose clamps. The main thing on this, guys, is people tighten these down too much, and then what happens is your pipes expand when they heat up and they snap the hose clamps. So you really don't have to hardly get these tight at all. As soon as the bike fires up and heats up, the shields will be plenty tight. The risk of over tightening is they will snap. All right, and with a 9/16 wrench, they're tightening up the crossover clamp that kind of holds everything. And that'll be so there's less play on this thing, so that when we're putting this muffler on the left side and pushing real hard, we won't have any slop up there. All right, and with a 9/16 socket, he's just tightening the crossover clamp where the header goes into the crossover here, making sure we get a good seal there. And everything's tightened up as far as that goes, the support bracket and that clamp, and that will allow us to finish putting this left side muffler on so there's not a lot of play, not a lot of slop there. And Rick's just working that forward. You can see he's just rocking it, and you can twist it and work it forward into position. And same thing on this side, just a 1/2 inch socket. He's just cranking those down, the rear support. And same thing on this side, the 9/16, the actual clamp that clamps the muffler to the header. Nice and snug, he'll get that. All right, and just this last heat shield he's working on with the nut driver, make sure that you go around and check your heat shields and tighten everything down. All right, now that his oxygen sensors are all plugged back in, we're gonna secure the side panel. Just the rubber grommets pops right in. All right, and they're just going back up with the bags, getting those back in place. Got the 1/4 turn pins, of course, 2 of them in each side. Don't ride without the slide. All right, guys, don't forget, bug slide. After you do your pipes, guys, you're gonna have grease and fingerprints all over them. It's our #1 go-to motorcycle cleaner. Paint, chrome, plastic, helmet, shields, inside of shields, pretty much everything. It's safe, guys. It's a waterless motorcycle cleaner. And of course, available in our store, lawabidingbiker.com/store. Big Daddy Kane, get some in your hands. And that's what he's gonna do, is get all the greasy fingerprints off, guys. It also is nice because it puts a protective coat on your chrome, so it makes it even easier next time you're cleaning your surfaces to get any bugs and other debris off your motorcycle. And there'll be a link in the description below to get Bug Slide right from our store. And there you have it, a set of Python True Duals installed on this Road Glide. And of course, our affiliate links, if you want to get hooked up with some Pythons, we'll put our Revzilla, because Revzilla hooked us up with these. And you can click through, no additional cost to you, but we do get a small kickback if you purchase. Help support this channel. Rick's getting reckless. And Rick's got what? Vaginitis. Wrench it, Rick, wrench it. Go, Rick, go, Rick. I really hope you appreciated this completely free video, guys. Don't forget, if you appreciate it, subscribe to this channel so you're notified when we come out with new free videos, because we have a ton in the works for you guys. Don't forget to like it, give it that thumbs up, share it with all your biker friends. I hope you're well, and I definitely hope you are out there getting some riding in. Peace out.